Hello and welcome to a small little review slash editorial about the recent film Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Essentially, this all started. We already discussed it in our roundtable episode, but what definitely inspired me to put something else out there was defending Iron Man, because a lot of the defenses of Batman v Superman have started to creep out lately in the last couple of weeks since the movie's release, and it's clear that these people who saw the movie and liked it are only reading maybe bullet points as to why critics might not have liked it. Things of like, oh, you must only like fun movies like Marvel. Oh, you can't handle it when it's dark and gritty and real. And clearly those are the kind of people who don't quite understand the criticisms that have been lobbied against Batman v Superman. Like, people who liked Man of Steel kind of have a that's bad for Batman v Superman. They have a negative opinion. And one of the major defenses that I read which made me laugh was in Iron Man 2, Tony Stark is literally holding a big middle finger to the government, and now in Civil War he is siding with the government, siding with this registration, and he can switch sides, but Batman can't see the good in Superman. And that's what started off this whole issue that I have with the defense of the criticisms of this movie, because it's clear that these people have no fucking idea what's happening. Because to compare the two things, to compare the turn of Iron Man from fuck you government to no guys, we need to kind of have a checks and balances, to compare that to the moment in Batman v Superman where Batman just goes, oh no, we're cool now. No, it's cool. We're gonna be friends now, right? I mean, that's all that matters. We're gonna be friends now. No, just no. To compare these two things, Iron Man's change, Batman's change, is an insult to making films. It's an insult to storytelling. It's honestly just mind-boggling. Because let's break down Iron Man's change. In Iron Man 1, he becomes Iron Man, and he's all full of himself, and he saves the day, and he's just like, yeah, he admits at the very end, I am Iron Man, I'm a badass. Iron Man 2, he's like, fuck you government, I'll do what I want. Don't you know that I'm a badass? And no one else is as smart as I am. No one's going to figure out this technology. I'm a badass. Fuck you. And then by the end of it, he's kind of proven right and wrong, that no one has the level of technology, but at the same time, he's proven wrong in the sense that because of the whole he's dying thing, he knows he has to give up the suit somehow, so he gives up Rhodey his suit. He starts getting all self-destructive because he's like, well, I'm a badass, but I'm not immortal, kind of thing. And then once he's cured himself, he's like, yeah, well, I'm back to being a badass, but at least I'm not the only suit, because clearly at this point Rhodey has the suit, therefore the government does have some sort of version of it, at least just in case. And then you have the Avengers, where he finally becomes part of the team. Like, he does the sacrifice play, and everyone's happy. Great. Iron Man 3 is PTSD, and plot holes in that movie are definitely there. But again, with the post-credit scene being Tony Stark just telling Bruce Banner's story, I kind of want to chalk it up to that. Like that's why there's plot holes, because he's not telling you real. He's not like he's retelling something that happened, but maybe there's embellishes. Again, that's definitely justification on my part. Like, and I admit to that. The movie has flaws. Like why didn't he call the suits? Blah blah blah. Whatever. But the point was he had PTSD and he was all paranoid, and he learned to kind of try to suppress that paranoia by destroying all of his suits. He's just like, I know that I'm a man, whatever. Then Avengers 2, he gets the final solution that, again, he's been kicking around with Banner. He's been kicking around the idea of Ultron, this suit of armor around the world, is, as he said it, he's kicked the idea around with Bruce Banner. And now the final solution presents itself to him. Like, he's just like, holy shit, I can use this to make that. And then it happens, and the results are clearly less than ideal if you've watched the fucking movie. His desire to try to end the fight caused an entire city to fucking no longer exist. And then what we've seen in the trailers of Civil War is, yeah, them pointing out, them holding a mirror to the Avengers and to Tony Stark saying, look at the shit that you've caused over the last several years, nearly a decade. Again, Iron Man 1 came out in 2008. This movie's coming out in 2016. I don't know how time necessarily works in the Marvel Universe, but we can assume that a lot of time has passed. Not only in between movie releases, but then in between movies there's been time, because clearly they've been working together and separate in all of this time together because of all the individual movies, and etc., 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 etc. Because clearly S.H.I.E.L.D. was together before, now it's not. Things like that. We know that time has fucking passed, and these characters have developed these interpersonal relationships over the last 8 years. So to say that this amount of character development for just this one character, just for Tony Stark, for him to go from "fuck you, I'm awesome" to okay, I get it. We should probably have more check and balances and be kind of reined in for our literal abilities to destroy the planet, destroy cities. There needs to be a checks and balances. There needs to be accountability. I can totally believe all that, because you've given me 8 years and multiple movies to build this up. There have been multiple conflicts within these movies. In Avengers 2, they have this little bit of infighting. In Avengers 1, they have a bit of infighting. All of that is there in Captain America 2. Captain America and Scarlet Witch and Bucky, and Falcon, they all have their own little thing. Like, that's why they're together essentially sometimes, and why they I don't know, why they're going to be where they're at in Civil War has been set up. Why it only takes Superman to say, "Save Martha! We have to save Martha!" And all he has to do is be like, "Why'd you say that name? Why did you say that name?" Like, no, that's just not. It's just not properly set up. Because I just spent the last 2 fucking hours being behind Batman. I'm behind him. I completely agree with him. Here's this fucking alien who we have no idea his proper allegiance to, because if you remember the end of Man of Steel, where he takes down a fucking satellite in front of a general and says, "You're not gonna spy on me." Like, you just destroyed a fucking city, you smug motherfucker. Like, let's fucking understand the consequences of your actions. So now let's the conversation about the criticisms for this movie has nothing to do with interpretation. The quick justification for Batman v Superman has been, you just don't like the characters because they're not your Superman, they're different. These are darker, these are more real, or whatever the fuck you want to use as your little imaginary straw man criticism of what this movie is. That has never been the fucking case. I mean, although if someone did have a problem with that, if someone did have a problem with the fact that this isn't their Superman, or this isn't their Batman, they're perfectly, okay in that argument. It's just, we've had a lot of different versions. We've had different Elseworld stories. There's different Earths. That's the whole idea behind the multiverse is that we want to create different versions, different interpretations, and still be fine with having both this new interpretation and an old one. We are all on board. Both Marvel and DC both pull that shit all the time. It's fine. Like stories like the Flashpoint Paradox, where you have what happens if Bruce Wayne was the one that was killed. Kingdom Come, like what happens in the future when shit just gets real with metahumans. Like, yeah. The Dark Knight Rises, Justice League War that came out in 2014. These are all different interpretations of the characters and in different universes, and we can accept them. And we like dark. Clearly, we are clamoring for dark, and this Batman that kills people is the natural progression, which we all kind of wanted secretly ever since Tim Burton's Batman. Like, if you look at history of Batman, prior to that, you literally had good guy Christopher Reeve Superman, who's like kind of corny, but he's still our hero. Like, you understand why he'd be a hero. And before that, for Batman, you just had Adam West going like, "Oh, there's a bomb, and here's the bat repellent." Like, it was it was so campy that whenever Tim Burton's Batman came out, everyone was like, "Yes!" Especially after The Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight Returns in the comics were already getting super dark and super gritty, but the film adaptations and anything else, any sort of adaptation from the comics, could never reach that level of dark that the comics were heading into. Especially heading into the 90s, if you remember what the 90s were like in terms of comics. But you have to now look at this Batman. Now, Zack Snyder wants to create this realistic world, and that's totally fine. I'm on board. You know, you want to tell me that IHOP and 7-Eleven have to be in the movie because Superman needs to be in real places. We need to have, you know what? Fuck it. I don't give a fuck that it's the most egregious product placement. I don't care. I'm with you in this. If Superman were to be here today, like if he were to show up, how would we act? Blah, 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 blah. All that, I am down. But you have to understand what the fuck basic storytelling is. Like, it's important. Narrative structure is important. Motivations have to make sense. That was a car. Motivations have to make sense, and so do changes. Like, basic storytelling and narrative structure is important. Motivations have to make sense, and so do the changes that you're making to the characters. Like, if you want to set your rules, set your ground rules, I will follow you. Like I said, Marvel's done it. Even DC's done it with their animated universe. If they have something like Justice League War or the Flashpoint Paradox that doesn't take place in what is referred to as the DC animated universe, like it's its own Elseworld story, I am on board. You tell me this is these characters and this is how they're acting, cool. I'm gonna follow you. I'm on board. But when you go out of your way to try to make it real, and then you continually destroy that same logic, I'm confused. I'm bought into the whole realistic thing. I'm there. Like, this isn't a super Boy Scout Superman. Okay, cool. This isn't the Superman who was raised properly by Pa Kent and Ma Kent to not be a killer, to have that good old boy Midwestern naivety of be good and do good and good things to come to you. I'm cool with that. You don't want that proper farm boy upbringing that everyone's kind of used to when it comes to Superman. Okay. He kills. Okay, again, I'm on board. I'm here. What's next? So you open up your movie with Batman's origin. And again, if this is the first time watching it, you're like, okay. And then it looks pretty. But if you stop to think about it, why include that? Like, there's no reason to include this super long montage in slow motion that Zack Snyder can't get away from. He just can't get away from it. Why show Batman's origin? Again, this is all hindsight. After you see the movie, the amount that you have to know, the amount of comic knowledge that you have to to understand and grasp, to get the little bits of Easter eggs that you're throwing in there that are not really Easter eggs because they're so in your face that you might as well be holding up the fucking comic they're coming from and say, hey, remember this comic? Remember the Dark Knight Returns? Here's the page we took this shot from. Remember the Death of Superman? This is the page that we took it from. Look at the visuals. Isn't it pretty how it looks in live action? You are expecting me to accept things like Wonder Woman's abilities. Like, you don't explain them to me. Somehow she can fight with Doomsday, like fight toe to toe. Okay, she's a strong Amazonian woman, but again, you don't explain that. You don't explain what the fuck in the dream sequence, the parademons, they're just there and fuck it, Superman's with them. Again, no explanation, just, and then they have the Omega symbol. You expect me to just fucking know that. No explanations. The Flash time, like the Flash coming through saying, oh, Lois Lane. You don't explain who that is, what's going on. Like, I know that it's the Flash because I've spent a lot of time kind of digesting this kind of fucking information for several years. You don't explain Lex's reason to do anything. I don't get it. So you start off the movie showing the origin when I'm sure people who don't even follow comics that well, people who don't even follow movies that well, know, oh yeah, Batman, his parents, they were killed. And that's why he Batman's because his parents were killed. You don't need to show it. Again, right off the bat, kind of a dumb scene to include when you're literally expecting us to be on board with everything else. So, okay, moving on. You show Batman's motivation. He's mad at Superman. And you show us why. And it's great. It is a great piece of filmmaking, that opening sequence. I don't care if that he would never drive that vehicle. Like, he would never drive that vehicle. Batman, that's not what he would be driving. He wouldn't be driving a sensible SUV. He would be driving a fucking Lamborghini, something Bruce Wayne, the billionaire playboy philanthropist, businessman, blah, blah, blah. He's not driving a goddamn Jeep. But anyway, product placement aside, okay, so he's driving down the streets. Destruction is the fight between Zod and Superman, and he's just like, what the fuck? I'm on board. I get why he's pissed. He's talking to one of his employees, get everybody out. That building goes down. Holy shit. He saves a little girl, and she's just scared. And it's just like, he sees this alien, this fucking out of this world creature. And this is the kind of destruction that he's capable of, that they're capable of. And he is mad. And I'm on board. There's a reason why people love this Batman. Because you're on board. Like, he did a great job with that. Holy shit. And then you jump ahead 18 months. Cool, I guess. Like, we never really... Okay, so now... Lois and Superman are together and she knows okay. The public seem to hate him. Again, part of visual storytelling, this visual medium like film, is show don't tell. Isn't that the basic tenet of a lot of filmmaking? Is you're gonna show don't tell. And you've shown us that people fucking hate Superman. There's protesters and there's people upset about what happened, but yet there's still a statue. So you're telling us that people love him enough to build a public statue, but hate him so much that most of the people that you show are hating, except for the Mexicans. You show everyone hating Superman, and that's all that I see. So the public hates him. Okay, so not a single moment in this movie, besides that one moment in Mexico, because again, the whole weird god worship thing that they showed. Never did you really show the public going, yay, we love Superman. Everything has been, fuck Superman. There's protests, there's people who are like, no. There's the whole Senate hearings of all this, like, should we have a Superman? That whole question, should we have a Superman, could have been its own fucking movie. Like, you could have not had Batman, not had nothing else. Just have a Superman 2, and it was just about, do we need a Superman? And I would have been totally on board if that's what you want to do. Him saving people, blah, 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 him having internal conflicts, and then something arises that proves that they need him. Cool. I'm on board with that, but that's not what you have. And then, okay, so Superman's conflicted. Okay, that's fine. Again, I get why he's conflicted. He wants to help people, but people fucking hate him. So he's like, fuck, what's the point? And Lois is like, no, it's fine. It's fine. And then he's just like, oh, okay, we'll have sex now. And it's like, that whole scene with her in the bathtub was definitely just an excuse to get her naked. And it's just, it's pointless, I guess, because it's, again, not everything needs to necessarily serve the narrative, but holy crap, was that pointless. What is Lex's motivation? We're introduced to Lex and him saying we need to have a deterrent to this person, blah 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 blah. And they're like, no, you want a weapon? And she's like, him. They're like, yeah, I do. But we're never told why. Like, what is it? What is it that Lex is mad at Superman about? Why? What is he mad at Batman about? And this is the point of the movie where I feel it starts to fall apart. Because with that question, why does Lex want to take out Superman? Without answering that question, now everything else comes in, just everything else does get called into question. Like, it has to. Like, there's no way you can't. For you to not to is suspect to me. You can't sit there and say, well, because Lex hates Superman, that's it. No, you have to have a reason. Like, there has to be something. Like, every version of Lex has had some sort of reason. Even the stupid cartoon from, like, the Super Friends, it was because he burned his hair off in a lab experiment. Like, there was a fire, he used his super breath, and it caught his hair on fire, and now he's bald, and that's why he's like, fuck Superman. And that's funny and silly, but it's like, it's at least it's something. It's something. He has a little diatribe about gods and blah 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 blah, and then he has his problem with God's not real because my dad used to hit me. It's like, oh, is that your reason? Okay, that's strange. So at this point is where everything starts to fall apart, because now I'm questioning, why is Lex Luthor doing that? Okay, why is Clark Kent at the stupid fundraiser? What is that line where Lex says, oh, Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne, I love bringing people together. It's in the trailer. And I was like, oh, this has to be a point. When I saw it in the trailer, I was like, oh, this has to be a point in the movie where everyone kind of has an idea of who everyone is. Like, they have to. But they don't know that the other people know who they are. But there's no reason for him to say, oh, I love bringing people together. Who's Clark Kent? Why does he's just a reporter, isn't he? He's the guy. To Lex and to Bruce, he's just a guy. In the context of the movie, again, no one has established that they know anything. I don't know that Lex knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. I don't know that he knows that Clark Kent is Superman. That's never been established. So that line makes zero sense. Batman doing his Batman thing while they're at the party as Bruce Wayne. Okay, I'm down. He doesn't have to be in the costume to do it. Like, he's still got to be doing detective shit, snooping around. That's fine. Superman leaving to go save somebody. Okay, that's totally a Superman thing to do. Now, Wonder Woman somehow steals the thing and tries to decrypt it. So now Wonder Woman is very modern in that she can try to decrypt high-level encryption stuff. She can try to hack into that, I guess. And then she puts it back in Bruce Wayne's vehicle, I guess, somehow. And again, that's never explained. She just does. And then again, I'm not understanding why. How does she know that he has this information if he's gathering this information in secret? That again starts to fall apart. The whole thing starts to fall apart, and it looks pretty, but it makes no sense. Like, I start to question everything. Like I don't question Batman killing. I don't question Superman killing. I'm fine with if that's the characters you want to portray here. I'm fine with that. What I have a problem with is why they're doing it. And the only person that makes sense in this entire fucking movie is Batman, except for the part where he just goes Martha with his hands up in the fucking air, basically, and then he goes, "Okay, you're a good guy," and then okay, there's no reason for Wonder Woman to really come back. I mean, is there? She apparently left after World War One because of the human atrocities of war. She was like, "You guys are fuck this," and she was done. And she's been gone for like almost 100 years. That's the apparently basis, but again, it's not really explored. It's not really anywhere. So in that time, she's learned to decrypt shit. She sits around checking Facebook and checking her emails. Is that what we're saying? Is that what she does? That's her thing. She gets on the plane and then gets off the plane, and she's Wonder Woman now. Why? Why? She had no reason to go there. She doesn't speak to Superman fucking once in the entire goddamn movie. Like, there's no interaction. So it's like, okay. Lex made logos for all of them. Okay, why? Oh, just to speed up the process of having them have logos that are recognizable and easy. Okay, you're not going to explain mother boxes or what the fuck just happened to Cyborg. It's just a small little fucking video clip, and that's it. You're done. Like, oh, that sounds like we don't give a fuck how Cyborg happened. But by the way, there's Cyborg. Use alien technology. Done. We're done. It's so slapdash and requires you to have so much information to know all these things. Why did Lex create Doomsday? What was the point? What was his end goal? To destroy the fucking world? Is that it? Is that... Because apparently he was there to stop Superman. So, I mean, get the kryptonite, stop Superman. But then all of a sudden he wants to create this monster and... Okay. Why? Why? To beat Superman? Because Batman didn't do it? Okay, why did he want both of them dead? Why did he kidnap Martha for Superman to kill Batman? What's his problem with Batman? He hasn't even really talked about Batman or anything like that once. He keeps talking about Superman, but is it because Batman's the only one that could kill him, so he has to push him towards him so he can kill him? But again, I don't get it. Why? You have a moment, the first moment of Batman and Superman in costume. Superman just is there, and he goes, "Next time they shine your light in the sky, don't go to it. The bat is dead. Bury it." Now, why did he tell him that? Does he have a problem with the way the Batman does things? Does he have some sort of ideological difference? Did he slap him one time? He didn't say sorry. Like, did he double park in a handicap zone? Like, what the fuck did Batman do to piss off Superman? There's nothing there. There's nothing there. It looks pretty though, and I'm pretty sure whenever the 37 minutes of bonus footage come out, it might answer some of these questions. Some of them. It might be arranged differently, because definitely editing can be a huge deal, and a lot of these scenes can be placed anywhere in the movie and they'd still be the same result. Like, you could randomly put the fucking opening of showing Batman's origin anywhere in the film because it connects to nothing else. You can move any dream sequence around. You can move the email scene to the very, very end, right before they have a little conversation about what next. Like, again, there's a lot of problems, and I'm not. And that there's a reason why I say it's about a 4 out of 10. Like, it's just not a good film. It looks pretty, it looks great, but the story falls apart very quickly, very early on. If you don't just sit there and go, well, because. And that's a typical justification that I tend to get as to why. They go, you think too much. You're thinking too much about it. I'm like, no. The filmmakers aren't thinking enough about it, and that's not fair that I have to have a justification for why people are doing shit when they didn't bother thinking of it. Like, I shouldn't have to be doing that much work. It's a very simple thing. You've set up Batman so fucking well, and yet you failed everywhere else. That's not my fault. Like, that's not up to me to sit there and be like, well, okay, let's think about this. Like, you put someone who doesn't have this much history of comics into that movie, and they're gonna have questions. They're just gonna be like, well, it was pretty, but who was that guy that came through the dream thingy? What was the point of the whole? What were the flying thingies? Who was the guy that had the? Who was the Cronenberg? Like, he has part of a body, and then he starts screaming, and they cut off the video. Who was that? What the fuck was that? Like, okay, like, to just accept things is like, I have a great suspension of disbelief. I can believe that the ship has the ability somehow to create life, and therefore resurrecting Zod into Doomsday is possible. Okay, all right, I can believe that it's possible. I just don't get why he did it, and that's the problem. Not that I don't believe that it could happen. Not that I'm not believing, oh, this Superman isn't real or this, whatever. No, it's why he did it. And that's a problem. Motivation is extremely important. And it's something that I felt I needed to get off my chest again, just going over the movie a little bit more in depth. And it all sparked because now social media is being flooded with all these, like, justifications of stupid shit, like, oh, Iron Man can do this, or no. I read one that said that Batman v Superman is a political thriller about power and how power corrupts, and this movie was none of those things. Clearly it was none of those things. When the basic motivations of characters fall apart, the movie falls apart in more ways than one. It was visually appealing, but that doesn't make it a good movie. And criticizing a movie doesn't make it a bad movie either. Because, I mean, I love bad movies, and I can sit there and be like, well, you want to know the problems with it? Here are the problems with it. But I still enjoy it because of XYZ. I can justify it all day. But it's like, at the end of the day, I still know that movie that I'm enjoying is a bad movie. You can enjoy Batman v Superman for what it is, and hopefully the extended version does fix a number of these problems. And then you can be like, I really enjoy this movie because now, like, there's a whole fucking half hour added to it. There's more scenes, and now, okay, certain things make more sense, and I'll be on board, and I'll be the first to say, you know what, this version is definitely a lot better. But judging it based on what we have, what they presented to us, at clocking in over 2.5 hours, it is a fucking mess. It's unfocused because it wants to be the death of Superman. It wants to be the Dark Knight Returns. It wants to be, do we need a Superman? It wants to be a Doomsday fight. It wants to be a Lex Luthor fight. Like, you have stressed yourself, and it wants to be a Justice League movie. It wants to set up the Justice League. It wants to do too many things at once, and the weight of that has collapsed their narrative structure completely to the point where it destroys the film. That's the only way to describe it. It destroys the film in a storytelling narrative sense. And the fact that people are trying to justify it kind of just bugs me a little bit. I know it shouldn't, but you know, it does. It's a bit like, do you really not care about that? Because that's all you have to say. Is that you could say, I don't care. And that's fine. You can not care about the quality of films that are being produced, that you enjoy. That's fine. But don't shit on people who do care. And don't try to be like, well, fuck the critics. Because you're not paying attention to what exactly it is they're criticizing. They're not criticizing the character. They're not criticizing the interpretation, usually. It's literally, in a film sense, this thing fucking sucks. And I just felt like I needed to get back out there. But again, thanks for listening. I'll probably be doing this more outside of Roundtable if we'll see. It just I want to watch good movies, and I know that comparing to Marvel is damn near blasphemous, but Civil War is about to come out, and it seems like the complete critical disappointment of this movie is gonna just make if all Civil War has to do now, the bar is set low. Bar is set low, in my opinion. All Civil War has to do now is give proper motivations as to why everyone's on the side they're on. Have the fights be very cinematic, which again they haven't had issues with so far in terms of fight scenes. If they can make the fight scenes visual, the motivations clear, and have everyone make sense, like why they're there, what they're doing. Oh, that was a text. That's all you have to do is you have to just make things make sense on a small, like if I can fucking have a through line through the whole narrative as to beginning, middle, and end of all these conflicts between both Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. If I can follow that and then follow everyone's motivations for getting behind them, that movie will destroy Batman v Superman before they release that extended version, and it'll be too late. And I know they're already behind. They're already behind. This is going to set them back even further.